Good afternoon. Hey, you guys. Sorry for the delay. Big delay. Today's been a rough day, but able to get things wrapped up and hold on one second. Okay. I'm so sorry, you guys. That was I had an important call that just was unexpected. Ironically, right when I start streaming. Preston, you brought friends? Also, welcome back. And welcome everybody who's new. Yeah, this is oh, thank you. I wouldn't call myself an art king, but I appreciate the flattery. Never met. Okay. Thank you. Hopefully we're gonna be able to finish this piece today. No, definitely not. Not an art queen. But yeah. Are you guys artists as well? I do other sea animals, actually. In fact, I'm gonna grab Mocha, my pup, and I'll also grab some prints that we've got of other art that I've made, so I can show some things off. 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. Took me a while to find our stuff. Here's Mocha. This is our puppy Mocha. Make her a little bigger so everybody can see. Mocha. Good girl. Yeah? Mocha, good girl? Yeah. Who's a good girl? Me too. I would die for Mocha too. She's a rescue. My wife and I adopted her in November, and she is so good and also a little naughty, but mostly she's a good girl. Yeah? So normally, like, I typically start my streams a little earlier, and then my wife is will be working in the desk next to me, and Mocha will jump into her bed and chill out. But things got a little busy this morning, so we were late. But you asked about different sea creatures. Also, how do I pronounce your names? Because I like Preston's. Like, I'm pretty sure I got that down, but I want to be sure. I keep track of like our regular viewers and like people who chat a bunch, so that I don't mispronounce anything. Want to No. How do you... Seo... Yeon? Much of that. Soyeon. Okay. Got it. Sorry. That was embarrassing. Okay. So, yeah. Huh. That. Ouch. So, and then Kylin? Is that what you... Kylin Montgomery? Is that right? Whew. No. Okay, that's weird. Okay, no, there we go. Huh, okay. Ooh. Alright. I started doing this because when I stream earlier in the day, I get a lot of viewers from India, some from Belarus. We had like some from Indonesia and the Philippines, so a lot of really tricky names. No, this is not the Death Note. This is just something so that I can remember how to pronounce things, maybe keep some notes, because my brain pan likes to empty out a ton of stuff. And this is like my old notebook from my old job, which fired me or let me go because they mismanaged money and they let go of like 20 people all at once. So I didn't want this notebook to go to waste, even though it fills me with rage just thinking about it. So repurposing it, and eventually this logo will be removed so that... Okay, I'll write Preston in there. You want to... Okay. Preston, you want a heart next to yours? I can do that. That work? Oh, what next to? Well, underneath. I'll make like a little asterisk for request. Next to? But that messes up my whole system. Like, look at everybody's like they have their own line. Nice and neat and organized. Okay, I'm gonna put the book away. We're distracting her. Okay, so who was it that asked about other sea creatures? So I got this one. I draw poop. Okay, you guys. So Yan, you asked about other sea creatures, yes? Yeah, Free Willy. Though this isn't Willy. Willy was in captivity, so his dorsal fin was curled. So this is not Free Willy. Kylan likes penguins. Okay. Penguins? You know what? Hold on. I've drawn penguins, but I don't think I've got a print made. So, look. I was telling Preston yesterday, but I've never really sold my art before, didn't stream before. I used to just make, thank you cards and letters and put my own art on top of them, kind of just to, especially during the pandemic. A lot of this stuff I did during the pandemic to like cheer people up in the community. I sent letters and thank you cards to essential workers and people in my neighborhood, just to cheer people up while we were all in lockdown. That being said, when we needed some cash and there were a couple art art events popping up, we needed something to start with. So my wife asked to make prints of these. So I do have drawings of penguins, but I don't think we have them here. Also, this is a copy of the first sea turtle I've ever drawn. The actual size of this was the size of a credit card. It's drawn on the back of a parking ticket. For like parking in an airport parking lot. I used to work there. It was really boring, so I used to take the ticket I pulled so that I could park. And thanks. This one was like I absolute first time drawing one. So it's also really blurry. I don't know if you can tell on stream, but I had a bad phone, so that the quality on that, not the best. This I did a little later. This was drawn in an envelope. Yeah, I do a lot of sea creatures just because they work really well with my markers, because I use markers for a lot of this. I've been using colored pencils for the sea turtle right now, but that's something new. This I actually drew on stream, and the original is sitting in my neighbor's apartment downstairs. They requested some like ocean themed thing, and this was kind of fun, a little tricky, had some tough choices that we made with the rocks here. But yeah, this was a lot of fun to do. Should put these away as I'm pulling them out so I don't ruin my wife's careful organization of all of our prints. But yeah, I draw a bunch of stuff. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was a particularly fun challenge to tackle, and something that you might not see here, but do I have it over here? No, I don't. I like to use it for practice. So these markers are alcohol-based markers. They bleed real bad, but that's a good thing. In fact, Preston watched as we took a whole section of this drawing that was way too dark, like absolutely way too dark, couldn't be used, and we were able to clean it out. This is kind of like the aftermath. We pushed the ink through the page and into some scratch paper, and we're able to like completely bring this back to what I wanted it to be. This is what it was. Oh, hold on, that's not what it was before. So before, this turtle looked like this, and it was fine, but I was working on this in blazing heat at a county fair in the middle of nowhere. My colored pencils and markers were boiling, like the colored pencils were melting. And I've never seen that, so I kind of struggled, and this got way too dark, and so we were able to wipe that out and start fresh. But I use scratch paper a ton, And for that like light coming through on the seahorse drawing, I have it where the scratch paper went, but on stream we tackled that several times to get it right using the scratch paper. Oh, here it is. Thank you, Preston. Yeah, I think it did like look better. Oh, hi, Scoot my poots. I love that name. Thank you. Copic markers are fun. Is a science to use them? I think it's more like cooking, where like you're just kind of like dabbling a little bit here. Maybe you're like, maybe you need to add a little bit more spices here, and you're just kind of going along. It's not so much a science, I feel, because the science feels like it's more consistent. I feel like they'd never work exactly as intended, and I'm always like kind of going through different iterations. But here was like some of the scratch paper tests that we did on stream, and that kind of helped us kind of figure out how we wanted the effect to look and how to actually achieve it. So like here, there's a couple of fishes that didn't turn out well. Like this one was just with a marker. This one was like a marker and colored pencil. This one was just colored pencil. And so we were like kind of fiddling around to like find a good medium. I don't know. Oh, here's the rock one. So like for that one seahorse drawing, we had rocks that were purple, because typically when I do shadows, I like to have them, since I have an abundance of cool colors, I like to use them for my shadows and not just use black or gray or whatever. And it looked wrong, and I didn't know how to fix it, and I had spent so much time on that drawing. So I took some time, and we developed a unique technique of going over our work with colored pencils, then going over it with the markers, then erasing the excess, and then it looked completely different than just like going over the colored pencil and erasing, or just leaving the colored pencil. For whatever reason, going over colored pencil with the Copic marker changed something. I don't know what, like at all. I don't know how that worked. It was, it's still a mystery, but you know, sometimes it's just like that, where you just, I don't know exactly how this is playing out, but it's consistently working, so I'm not going to question it. But I can't tell you the science behind it or what is even going on. So we've been using some of that technique here. That drawing was actually the first one I actually started using colored pencils. I don't have many. I'm mostly marker. I have so many markers, but yeah. Sorry, that was long and rambly. It's the Streamlabs extension I'm using for combining the chats. So the chat you see on screen is actually like ran through a third party. I used to have both chats for Twitch and YouTube up in separate windows, and you could see all the emojis just fine. However, it crowded the screen, and making it like with like a transparent background was really hard. And especially when we do digital work, you couldn't see like the brushes I was picking. So I opted for something that kind of meshed them together, because I multi-stream, just cause why not? And I do want to like expand it more, but I don't know if my computer could handle it. My computer's like 11 years old. Not like, it is 11 years old. So it's a miracle it's even working like this as it is. But that's why you can't see the emoji. You know, on the screen at least. If I find a better third-party application to combine chats, then I'll abandon this one and we'll have something that can show everything. But for now, that's kind of what we're stuck with until I take the time to set up more stuff. Okay. Just gonna move this over to the side here. Microphone. You guys can hear me okay? I'm pretty soft-spoken normally, so if you need me to speak up, there you are. I knew it. I knew it was gonna happen. Darn. And you know, Twitch says they fixed their bot problem. They did not fix the bot problem. Their bot problem is still bad. No one really watch. Well, some people watch on Twitch, like Scoop Mapoots does or did show up briefly, but okay, good. Good.
Your attitude.
Oh, thank you, Scoop Mapoots. I wish I could have something like that for YouTube where it shows, like a little pop-up. I actually made that little GIF. It's a coffee cup with an M that's a dog that's also a mocha. Like a big ol' like reference to mocha here. She does have a dog tag that looks exactly like that. So. Right. Things I want to accomplish. We got this back shell looking great. I feel like there's only a few things I could tweak, but honestly I want to move on to the other parts. This fin needs more detail. Yeah. Yes, Scoop Mapoots. I have it. She's a little smaller right now. And I don't know if it's because she doesn't like, when she's napping, she doesn't like listening to me chat too much, but she does turn away from the camera sometimes. Or all the time. I have to scoot her around. And we got a better camera for her recently. My dad was getting rid of some old work equipment. And we were using a PlayStation 3 motion camera to capture her. It wasn't the most efficient thing. And it did cause some crashes. But you know what? It's not a problem anymore. So, yeah. Okay. I think... I don't know if I want to do more to this. I mean, I could do some more. This looks pretty... Like, the chest here looks okay. I think if I were to do a little too... Like, do any more to it, I could start to goof it up. So really I want to focus our attention here to darkening the spots on the face. Thank you, Preston. And then doing more definition on this forward fin here, because it's in the foreground. It needs to like be more prominent and have more contrast. And then we'll be done with this and could go back to doing this long project of drawing mocha. But in the meantime, wrap that up. This is not a commission, but it is going to be put up for sale. So the original will be put up for sale for local events. We got a big one coming in September. And then there is, we make prints and notebooks and sketchbooks. So we could turn this into a sketchbook or a notebook or a postcard. Kind of just branching out. We've got a sea turtle sticker that I really like. So we could turn it into a sea turtle sticker, but we've already got one, so we'll see. But I really don't take commissions yet. That's kind of a spot that I would like to get into, but I'm also a little trepidatious, or terrified is a better word, terrified, of following through because of some past experiences that were a little traumatic, and it took a shotgun to my confidence. But you know, that seahorse drawing that was not so much a request I mean, my neighbor did pay us some money, but she wasn't very specific. She just liked ocean life. So I think that was a little easier, less stressful. No, they died. So like, when I mean traumatic, I was a kid in school. I think I might have told this story yesterday, but I might not have. An old family friend. He was like an old cowboy. I really cared about it. A really sweet guy. He wanted me to draw his prize racehorse. And he wanted it painted. And me being like 12, 13, I was like, okay, yeah, I could do that. I totally could do that. I sketched that horse out really quick on watercolor paper. I was going to do a watercolor of it. Then life got in the way, and again, I got diagnosed with ADHD about 4 years ago and didn't realize it. And it was a complete accident that I even went into the doctor and got diagnosed. I say it's an accident, but it probably wasn't. I went in thinking I had a brain aneurysm because I stopped drinking soda. That's a totally different story. But long story short, it took me way too long to like work on it because I would forget about it. I would, like I had school, I would have like friends, and I would just push it off and then forget I even had that drawing to finish. And he would ask about it like every year or so. And I'd feel so guilty. I'd work on it a little bit and then realize, oh, I'm missing some things. And then even though like maybe I got the thing, I still would like forget. And then a couple years go by and he dies. Like of old age. Mocha, see your butt. Excuse you. But yeah, he passed away. And the guilt I felt was incredible. In a bad way. I felt horrible. And I felt like I couldn't be trusted to finish anything. And it wasn't like I didn't want to do it. I did want to do it. I enjoyed making art. So why did that happen? Why was I such a bad person? That haunted me for most of my life. I'm 31 now. Going to be 32 in a couple days. No, I wasn't. I don't even know where it went. I think I might have thrown it away out of shame. I don't know. And I, like, for references, my old friend, he gave me the original photos of his prize rodeo horse. It's a beautiful horse. And when he died, I still had them, and I couldn't live with the guilt, and I didn't give him back to his wife until many years later. And I couldn't even face them. So I like left it on their porch and skedaddled away. They were actually really happy to have those pictures. They didn't know what had happened to them and they didn't blame me, but still really just made me question myself, because I didn't think I was a lazy person or a bad person, but how do I explain that? I couldn't. Then I just didn't pursue. No, he wouldn't. And I know he wouldn't. But I'm my own worst enemy. It was me. I condemned myself. And it always was a kind of reminder to not tackle any more than I was capable of. So I never even tried to sell art or do commissions, because what if I can't like make the time for it, you know? What if it years go by and I can't follow through? I procrastinate, I'm lazy, And I was able to kind of work around that and still live my life and be kind of happy. Just accepting that I was lazy and that maybe I couldn't handle that kind of responsibility. And then my whole worldview got shattered in 2021. Long story short, I had a huge soda addiction. I drank Dr. Pepper like nobody's business. I roughly drank about 12 cans of Dr. Pepper a day, if not more. And I had a standing record. I still have a standing record of drinking a 24-pack of Dr. Pepper all in one sitting. I did not get up except to use the bathroom. And in a couple hours, 24 cans of Dr. Pepper were gone. And it was just me. So I had that addiction for many years. Like, as soon as I could earn my own money, which was like at 14, 15, I was buying my own soda. And it was bad. Yeah, it was crazy. Very crazy. Not healthy in the slightest. My doctor still, like, to this day is like, I don't know how in the world you're not 500 pounds with all that. So I'll tell you how that happens. Because it's funny. Pandemic hits. I was working at the airport. I get laid off because not many people are flying. Okay, that's fine. I'm good. Time goes on in 2020, and I'm realizing my unemployment's going to run out. And I'm looking at, like, because 2020 was a tumultuous year. Things were crazy. I could not depend on the government giving an extension for that, and I was not going to go back into the workforce until I had a vaccine because of my own weak lungs, and I was living at home at the time, and my mom has extreme chronic illness, and I didn't want to put her life at risk. So, how do I afford my crazy soda addiction? And I'm going to show you, like, I'm not talking just to talk. I will show you proof of how bad it was, because it is kind of funny and kind of not. So, I would get paid every 2 weeks at the airport, and I would work nights. And to supplement that, I would go and get a 2 weeks worth of supply of Dr. Pepper so that I wouldn't have to go and be late to work getting it at like a little quick mart, like corner market, before work started. Because it took me like 30 minutes just to drive there. So this is yes, there is caffeine in Dr. Pepper. This was an average shopping trip for 2 weeks. That I did buy this. These are 1.25 liters. So like they're a weird measurement. I'll turn down the brightness so you can see a little better. So like not quite a 2 liter, but not quite like a liter. It's like in between. They were $1 at Walmart. I think that's like 28 of them or more. I actually got them all rung up. That was I couldn't afford to do that anymore. If my unemployment ran out at the start of 2021, I don't know, like, what am I gonna do? Go through withdrawals on that much like caffeine? It's not healthy for me anyway. I didn't like that I was addicted that bad. But what could I do? So at the time, still living at home, I noticed my dad was like drinking sparkling water, and I thought, okay, I'll trick my brain. I'll have a cup of coffee in the morning just to like kill any caffeine headaches, but just one, and then I will drink the sparkling water my dad's already buying because he's buying it in bulk, and I'm already living at home anyway. They're gonna keep buying it. It won't come out of my pocket. And the fizz from the sparkling water will trick my brain, and I can wean off the Dr. Pepper without too many issues. It worked. It absolutely worked. I was like, I had a little bit of withdrawals, but in the end, like, I was able to like go 4 months no soda. And then at 4 months, something happened. So I quit drinking Dr. Pepper or any caffeinated soda except for sparkling water at like November of 2020. Late February of 2021. My brain goes crazy. I can't sit still to play video games. I can't sit still and feel okay. I feel panicked. I feel hyper anxious. I don't know what's happening. Like, and when I say like I couldn't sit still to play video games, it wasn't just like an anxious feeling. I felt like my brain was being turned into putty and being pulled out of my skull. It was weird. Really messed up. It scared me. I thought, oh my gosh, I have an aneurysm or something terrible. I'm going to die if I don't get this checked out. This is not normal. So I go to the doctor and I explain everything to them. No, not like a panic attack, because it was just default. That was like me every day, all day. I'd wake up and feel that way. And when I mean like, I can't describe it now because I don't even like, every day feels so much different than I used to growing up. But I go to the doctor, I explain everything, and they're like, okay, first off, it's good that you stopped drinking soda. That was a ridiculous amount. I'm surprised you don't have diabetes or something horrible. What the heck? And she's listening, and she says, you know what? I have a hunch. I have an idea, but I don't know if I'm right. So I'm going to send you to our in-house psychologist because I have a suspicion, but I don't want to say anything. I just want you to go and see them. And so they set up an appointment the next day. I went and seen the psychologist. And she asked me about my childhood and everything growing up. You want to know something? I'm like, what does this have to do with like the soda I was drinking? I explained it to the psychologist too, and they're just like still asking me like how my homework was. And I'm like, well, always late. Like, I struggled to do my homework. If it wasn't for the fact that I could study, I didn't have to study any test and I could pass it like with flying colors, I would not have graduated. Right there, I was using my eraser to kind of clear out some excess ink that was sitting on the top there. So, psychologist listens to everything and then says, here's a pamphlet. You have ADHD. And I thought, no, I'm not a hyper individual. I'm quiet. I stick to myself. I don't talk a lot. I'm incredibly shy. Like, how? I have friends who were diagnosed with ADHD when we were kids, and they bounced all over the place. I'm not them. Also, Mocha left. I didn't even notice Mocha left. She probably went to be with Mama. So, understandable, Mocha. Just sad that you didn't even let me know. If she comes back, I'll turn the camera on. You want to know something? I learned that they got rid of the diagnosis of ADD. Apparently, this is what, like, in researching autism, they discovered some parallels between autism and ADHD. And autism is a spectrum. Apparently ADHD is also a spectrum. So they got rid of the classification of ADD, at least here in the US. And something they discovered why your brain does the super distracted thing and can't stay focused. But also, they have a better understanding on how to treat it. I was diagnosed in 2004. Yeah, things have changed in the last, like, 5 years. Like it was from 2020 on, if that. It's very recent. That's why there was an Adderall shortage during the pandemic, because as it just so happened, they had a better understanding of ADHD right when everybody is working from home and we're in environments that were very distracting. Oh. Yeah. So that was a little shocking. And it took me some time to like come to terms with, because I already had my own demons that I battled of like, I'm a garbage person that is lazy, can't be relied upon. This is just an easy way out to make excuses for all the things that I neglected. And one of those things was you know, I asked that question myself, but you want to know something? My reference picture doesn't have it either, Preston. There's only 3 legs visible in this turtle. And I just drew it like the reference. Maybe I can add like something here to like denote that it's like hiding behind the other leg. Maybe like something here. Just like a little shadow. I don't know. I don't know how to like tackle that. I have not studied drawing turtles, so I don't know where I even put it. Oh. I usually have my phone open to like see the chat as it comes. Twitch chat's pretty quick. But YouTube has like a delay. Oh. Alright, have my phone back. But yeah, so like tackling that struggle took a long time. As I didn't want to make excuses for myself. At the end of the day, like, my friend did die before I fulfilled my promise. So, but when I found out that like there was actually a reason that I was like maybe living life with my hand tied behind my back this whole time, see, that's really cool. I did not get accommodations, but it's okay. For whatever reason, still can ace a test without studying it. I don't even know the answers half the time, just really good at guessing the pattern of the teachers. Like, if it's multiple choice, I was really good at my guesses. I don't know. Set you back a year. I just didn't pass with good grades for some classes. If they were really assignment heavy, no. I always had late assignments. But if I was able to work on my homework in school, it got done really quickly. I see. Well, that's commendable. Yeah, doing things the day of. I would write like several page papers during my final years of high school, like an hour before class. And I always I always pulled through too. Don't know how. If I got a C on it, hey, it's better than an F. Or it didn't finish. So, Doc hands me this pamphlet, and I'm kind of in shock. She explained that, so look, your brain's just hyperactive. That's it. Like, you might not have the hyperactive behavior because you've learned to socially mask the hyperactivity. You don't need to be physically active for your hyperactivity, because it's in here and you've learned how to behave in a way that is normal. So honestly, when described to it by the doctor, they basically, like, it's the way you have your ADHD is very, very, very similar to how women develop ADHD. Yes. So, because in men it's easier to tell because they typically have the hyperactive behavior and they're able to tell early on, but with women they socially mask, so you can't tell. And the environment I grew up in was like, I had my own social structure that made me mask. No. Well then, yeah, I guess that makes sense that there's a level of relatability there. It's why I never, like, no teacher ever stopped my parents and even suggested it. It never came up. But you want to know something? People just told me I probably had it out for a while. I didn't get tested till college. They didn't want to be sped. Too much pride, I think. Well, that's good. It's good to have, like, someone fighting in your corner, being pushy. Yeah, blessing and a curse. The doctor's office I went to, a lot of the people in the area I was living in, they don't want to be on medication for that kind of thing. So the psychologist was, like, telling me all the things I could do behaviorally that will help me, and we're, like, throwing the word, like, medication around, but as if it was taboo. And I thought, well, one, I didn't know I had this, so this is all new grounds for me. How am I to judge whether medication's a good option or not? And so I said, look, what's the most effective thing? Because walking in here, I had no clue. And you're telling me, like, I could be better than the person, like, I thought I was this whole time? What's the actual thing? My parents just feel like everyone has it. But it makes sense from their perspective because it's genetic. Definitely. You want to know something funny? After I got diagnosed, my mom got diagnosed, and then my sisters got diagnosed. I think my dad also might have something there. But you know what? He's managed to live his life without it really impacting the important things. So why upend his entire life, right? He doesn't, like, he's not needed it to survive or provide, so he doesn't need it. I took Adderall, Concerta, Strattera, Ritalin. I've taken it all, and now I'm on nothing now, and I'm doing pretty darn well. Oh, I didn't know that. Like, I don't know those two in the middle. I know Ritalin and Adderall. My friend takes Ritalin, and they gave me Adderall, and I think because I requested it, I was like, look, I want the most effective treatment, because if I can beat this, or, like, have a better quality of life, give it to me. I want to do the best thing for myself. So they were like, okay, meds and the like behavioral like techniques is what will be most effective. I'm like, great, I want that. I didn't take any drugs because I want to feel like a different person. Do I feel like a different person on the medication? Yes and no. I don't feel like a different person, but I also behave a little differently. One thing, my whole life I had this sensation that my head was in a pressurized container, or my head was a pressurized container. So always felt like a light, or it was not light, it was intense, but it didn't have pain. It was like, if I was to describe it, it felt like my brain was the static on TV. Like just like the no signal static on an old television. That's what my brain always felt like. My head always felt like that. I thought that was normal. That went away when I took Adderall for the first time. And it was a good thing that I got medication right away, because something that happened right after taking Adderall for the first time really helped with any self-doubts or issues that I had. Especially with it, like at first my parents didn't quite understand what was going on, and also felt like it could be used as an excuse, and there was a lot of battling that we had, but it was good in the end. After taking Adderall, I took a nap. I took a 3-hour-long nap as soon as it kicked in. And my head was quiet. The sensation went away. And then that was like all the proof I needed. A medication that is basically baby meth, knocking me out and not giving me energy, just giving me peace in my head. That's something chemical that you can't fake. So that helped a lot with moving forward with that. And I'm on a pretty high, I was on a pretty high dose of Adderall. I was on like 40 milligrams. I now take 30, but it flip-flops. We kind of just upped the amount until the crazy sensations of like brain out of body went away, and I could sit and do things normally. That being said, whenever there's a shortage, the withdrawals are a kick in the pants, let me tell you. Not a fan of those. Yeah. It was nice chatting with you too, Scoop My Poots. I hope I can catch you again too. It was wonderful. I really appreciate anybody who's just able here to be here and chat. It does help with getting through a piece. I like to be able to talk and draw at the same time. So thank you so much for coming. It's really nice. You have a lot of really nice things to say too. I'm just doing my best. But yeah, drugs. The Adderall doesn't make me feel different. It just makes me feel focused. But there's a catch. At first, did not feel focused. Like I did, but not in a good way. Because one thing I learned out pretty quickly is stimulants like Adderall and Ritalin basically tell the part of your brain that dispenses dopamine and serotonin to, hey, wake up, dispense them, because that's the part of your brain that's broken when you have ADHD. It doesn't dispense it when it's supposed to, and those endorphins are meant to help you stay on task and stay focused when doing something. And when you don't get those chemicals, it can actually cause physical pain or sensations, and your brain will cling to whatever can get that serotonin and dopamine like push. And guess what? It's not completely broken, because it will push those chemicals out. Just at the wrong time. Right when you turn your head to like look at anything else, you get distracted from what the thing you know you're supposed to do. That's when your brain's like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing something. Here's the chemicals you needed. And then you're chemically driven to be distracted. So taking a stimulant like Adderall or Ritalin basically slaps that part of the brain and forces it to make those chemicals. That's it. So you have them. But you have them at all times. And it can't tell you to be focused on the right things. You know, growing up, I wanted to be an engineer. And honestly, when I was working as a drafter, I was like using my problem-solving skills and my out-of-the-box thinking to help like minimize the amount of work. I created some crazy tools to like automate things that like shouldn't be physically possible with AutoCAD. I could do. Yeah, getting the degree and doing the detailed calculations can be painful. I can understand that. What was I saying? Right, the focus. So, like, engineering has so many different problems, and if you work for a cool company, they have unlimited amount of cool problems to solve. That's ideal. I would love a job like that. The job I had previously, I got to do that when I could, but it was a lot of like monotonous stuff, like the same thing over and over, just in a different location, with a slightly different layout. And the thing I wanted to do was create things to help everybody else be more efficient. In fact, that's what they wanted me to work on when I first got there. They kind of dangled that idea in front of me and said, this could be you. We need somebody like this. And then when it comes around time to actually like follow through with that, they're like, that position we actually told you to write up, it doesn't really exist, and actually won't exist for another 5 years. Instead, what we can do is tell you to work for free and just do it on your off time, and that way when we wake up, yay, we have a bunch of tools and things that we can use to be faster. And maybe we'll give you a gift card for some coffee. You worked on electric motors and jet engines. That's so cool. Working on electronics for a crazy jet engine powered drone. Whoa. Man. Why was my spawn like in the poor section so I couldn't like afford to go to school? I got unlucky spawn RNG. I would love like to do stuff like that. But you know, I also like not having student loan debt. So I'll take that. That would be really cool. Nice. Yeah, working on rockets would be really... I love space. It's gonna go crazy. Yeah. Yeah. It's a struggle just to live nowadays. Like renting, even in the small, like the relatively small city that I live in, is ridiculous. I live in Oregon. Why is my rent like almost $2,000 for a tiny 2-bedroom apartment? Ah. Yeah. My dad has a job now that's like really solid, but that pays for all my mom's really expensive medical things. It's a means to an end, and honestly, like what I did for schooling is I went to a community college for high school. I got lucky in that there was a charter school that was opening up around here and was offering that, and it would be dual enrollment, so dual credits. I take one class, it covers both a college degree, even though it's a community college, it's still a degree, and high school credits at the same time, and only have to go to school 3 days a week. I'm sold. And did that charter school go under because they were embezzling money? Yes. Did the school district I was in just pay the bill moving forward because it is actually cheaper to send a kid to a college, a community college, than to send him to public school? And did the district get to pocket the extra cash? Yes, and yes. So I got an associate's degree, and it's a transfer degree. So I could take that degree with all the prerequisites and go to any university I wanted in the state of Oregon, and I don't have to take any prereqs. I could just go right into a career path, which is great. But now I don't have money to go to more schooling. Like, it's just there. And I didn't have to do extra school. I naturally accrued it as I was taking my high school class requirements. I actually got my associate's degree before my high school diploma, which was kind of nice. But more school, and I just barely passed that, like with like a C average. This is like before I knew how my brain worked. So no, I'm not doing more school. You want to know something? My dad has that job. He programs automation for a chemical plant. And he didn't go to college at all. He just taught himself the programming language. He taught himself computers, using the spare computers that they had at work that they were throwing away. And became one of the only people in the country that knows how to do that with the very unique programs that they use. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's what my dad does. Chemical plant he works at makes like resin and glue products for plywood and other things. And so they're messing with formaldehyde, they're messing with urea and other really dangerous chemicals. Last job I did was a lot of manufacturing of like niche wood products, which was kind of cool, but also I made my bosses feel stupid sometimes, which was not very cool, and actually closed the door on a lot of things for me. Oh, that broke. Because my bosses would ask, like, I want to be able to 3D model in AutoCAD, and like 3D modeling in AutoCAD sucks, but that's what we were using. And he's like, the supervisor of our department was like, but I don't want to just like have somebody do 3D modeling because I can do that. I want somebody to take an AutoCAD block and make it work with 3D. Newsflash, that is not an option. They don't have that kind of control with AutoCAD. You can't control 3D object in a block with parameters. And so when my boss finally let me work on some 3D projects, because I was one of the youngest ones there, and then I showed that I knew more about like 3D modeling than him because he couldn't think outside the box and use negative space as a cutting plane so that he could save himself days worth of time. I'm not sure what I mean by that. By what? I said a lot in that short span. Like with AutoCAD. Okay, so an AutoCAD, like negative space, you understand. Okay, so are you familiar? Are you familiar with AutoCAD blocks and dynamic blocks? Okay, most people don't. It's like a feature of AutoCAD that's been around, I don't know how long, but it's like extra. So like, do you know what a block, okay, so imagine you have a drawing of something like a table and you don't want to draw that table again. Inventor, Fusion, SolidWorks, Blender. Yep, I've worked with all that stuff too. I even still have my old SolidWorks textbook from when I took the class at the community college. So you're working in AutoCAD, you have multiple tables, you don't want to draw them by hand. You also want to save that table for another drawing, but you don't want to like go and copy and paste it with all of its parts, right? And maybe you have like this table, and you're looking at it from the top down. Maybe you want to make it to where like the table can like be made in different sizes. So maybe you can have one longer, maybe you can have one shorter, maybe one can be wider, right? You don't want to have to redraw this table every time. And I'm using really rectangles. This could be for anything. A block is basically a drawing inside a drawing, to where like it is a file, its own independent file, and you just click on it from a palette and you just plop it in. And it's its own unit. When you click on a line, it selects everything in the block. So you have your table, you can just like copy paste it really quickly. You don't have to worry about like dragging it and then like a line gets left behind. It's all connected, it all stays together. A dynamic block basically takes that drawing. So when you make that, it's basically, you do a drawing, you save it as a block, then when you paste the block in, all the elements that you drew in the block editor get pasted in at the same time as one cohesive unit. Dynamic block is basically, in the editor, you start setting parameters. Like in Inventor in SolidWorks, you can set the lengths of certain like surfaces and solid bodies with like an equation, or like you could say like this here, this is 30 units or whatever, right? Or you could have it be an algebra equation, like x plus 30 equals this line. That's basically what a dynamic block is. It will turn this parameter or this dimension into something that when you click on the block in your property tab, it will show up and say, like say you labeled this as length. In your property tab, this will be length, and it will like give you an option to like change it. So if it's like 40, you could type in, cross that out and like erase it and type in like 50, and it would automatically stretch the table. That's a very simple like explanation. It doesn't quite work like that. There's a lot of like steps to it, but essentially you can control a drawing and different parts of a drawing with math or just those parameters. So you don't have to redraw anything. And in fact, if you have a lot of parts that change like unique sizes or different elements, you can put it all in one thing, invest all your time in drawing the one thing, setting up everything, and then for all your different elements in any like scope of work, all you have to do is then change the numbers and boom, it's already redrawn for you. You don't have to redraw it again. That is a life like saver when you're working with very custom wood products that go into a space and are based off like a basic SKU. And I did some like cool stuff with it, like was able to even control curved products. So we had like curved wood tiles, or like wood trim. So it'd be like stuff that they like bent and then glued down and or cut with a CNC machine, and we would often have to redraw this like our curved products over and over again, because funny enough, AutoCAD gives you control over the radius, it gives you control over 2 points, it gives you control over like locked XY coordinates of like vertical or horizontal. It does not control your arc length. You cannot control the arc length of something. And these products were made from like, if it was bent, it was flat first, and then they bent it and it was made of like a core that had like gaps in between, that when it bent, you could like have that extra space be like taken up essentially. And then they would have like a veneer over it. It was like a particle board thing. So that would allow you to bend it, but it would like have like a default thing that you cut first before you bent it. And that would determine like of your your longest arc, that was the length of the piece of wood before, or piece of particle board before you got it cut. There is no control over arc length, like intuitively, but you could control it with math. So I used some trigonometry to like set the arc length based off the length distance between these 2 points as the crow flies. However, that also didn't quite work because AutoCAD is finicky and would just blow up everything. So I had to have other things to lock everything down in place so that it wouldn't just go with the path of least resistance and make everything wonky. So when I started doing stuff like this, my bosses didn't understand what was going into it, even though I like laid out really detailed instructions for everything. It went in one ear, out the other, too hard, like too difficult. Gonna put it in the too difficult basket and just like forget I even heard that, because whatever. Then my boss is like, I want you to make a block with all these controllable variables, but with 3D elements. And 3D elements in AutoCAD cannot be controlled by parameters. They just don't. They don't want to. They are solid. They are a thing that's like a rock. You can't stretch a rock. What are you talking about? It's there. It's a thing. You can't change it. There is like some like tricky things you can do with parameters outside. Oh, hi, Certified Silly Goose. Yeah, I'm actually finishing up something I did at a county fair. I'm just doing some like last minute details. Also kind of talking about my old job. It's good to see you again. I hope Preston's still here. You still here, Preston? Or am I just talking into the wind? Oh, thank you. Yeah, it is a turtle. Oh, okay, good, good. Thank you. So, essentially, so like the AutoCAD sucks because one, it renders everything with your CPU, never GPU. Because AutoCAD was made before operating systems like Windows were a thing. Yeah, that's essentially what I did. I think in this, do I have it in here? I have my equations I used in this. This is what this book was for all the complex stuff I did. I kept it. And yeah, here they are, parametric equations. I have my arc length equation, my central angle, so that would help me a lot too. Linear distance between 2 points of an arc. Yeah. This was a different equation for controlling, so yeah, it's right here. Oh. Divided by 360. X would be. Oh yeah, right here. Arc length. There's the this is the central angle is this. Yeah. Yeah, no, I have that right here. And then yeah. No, like yeah, what you just described, I think it's literally here. 2 pi times, like 2 times pi times radius times x divided by 360. X is the central angle. This is your central angle equation that would get plugged into this to give us control over that. I even had like, yeah. This was a equation for like, so we worked with what was called a reflected ceiling plan. So that's what RCP stands for. So it's basically if you were looking at a floor plan, but the floor was all covered with mirrors and was reflecting the ceiling, so that you could just draw your ceiling over a floor plan and you didn't have to like think about it too hard. When we were like, one of the projects I had curved tiles that were hanging from the ceiling, and they were curved, but they also were tilted at weird angles. And I had to show that, like, if you were looking directly up at them. So they would be rectangles, but the length of those sides of the rectangles would be different because you've tilted it. And I didn't want to have to, like, draw tracing lines and do everything like that by hand. So I made a block to, like, draw the 2D version because it was already laid out, and I could just turn on a toggle and it would all do it for me, and I wouldn't have to like double check anything because it was controlled by math, and it worked beautifully. And I got laid off shortly after that, so that kind of, no one else got to benefit from that, because that, like, this stuff I think I left a paper trail for. This was only in my book. Sounds like that company's starting to go under anyway, so not like they're gonna make use of it. But yeah, that was the kind of stuff I would do, is make it to where I didn't have to draw anything like that, and using math to do all the drawing for me. And it was really fun. And when it came to like the 3D blocks, I could do all this and just plug it into 3D too. My boss really wanted to figure out how to do this, and he basically is like, let's both work on it. Yeah, I was modeling the dimensions of a motor a while ago. I had to do so much trig, it sucked. Well, see, I was kind of stupid, and when I went into high school, I thought, well, since I'm going to a community college and taking college math, maybe I should start slow. I didn't actually get up to where I would naturally learn trigonometry. So all of that I was learning for the first time. I had to teach myself trigonometry. So I guess because it wasn't something I learned in school and I learned on my own, and I saw the immediate benefit of, it didn't suck. I actually really enjoyed it. It's almost like teachers should teach kids like practical applications of their math so that they don't hate it. But imagine getting teachers to enjoy their job. Like, some of them do, but not a lot of them do. They don't get paid enough. It's a weird system. Anyway. My boss, again, I keep repeating this. They wanted... No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not. You know more math than me. I don't know anything higher than trig. I would have to teach myself it. And I don't want to teach myself higher math right now. Yeah. I also I have some cheat codes. So if you're like modeling things and you're using CAD software, you ever have to use and you're doing repetitive, so many commands over and over and over again, do yourself a favor. Get yourself an RTS gaming mouse. All of these are programmable with macros. You can program all your commands that you use for modeling, and you don't even have to type. Imagine not having to go through any toolbars to select the thing you need, or typing it. You know how much time you save if you could just oh, you have a command you need, and you press a button and then it's there. There's a 3D space mouse for modeling. How much does it cost? And does it give you this many buttons on the thumb? Oh. Isn't that just the shift button and the mouse wheel? But couldn't you just shift button or control button and mouse wheel? I see. I see. My boss had that. I'll still swear by this. Because at least with this, it's made for StarCraft players, you know? I had so many macros with so many different things. I had one macro that did 8 hours of work for me, and I didn't even touch my computer. Because it was so long, I set it up. It was set up beautifully. It was wonderful. I had a lot of cuts to make on a very yeah, a space mouse sounds really really hassling. This is perfect. It's beautiful. Anyway, I'm getting really off topic, but what was I saying about this? This allowed me to really take all the most tedious things and simplify them. And then you have your profile toggling button, so you had access to an unlimited amount of macros at your disposal. Which I don't know why, they wanted to give me this business mouse that was $200, and it was just a mouse with an ergonomic feel and it had no features whatsoever. This was $90 at the time, or even less. I think it was $70. And I could draft circles around my coworkers because of it. There's so much effort put into gaming gear so that people have an edge. And when something is business coded, it's almost useless, I feel. To make a long story less long, because I keep extending it and getting distracted. Because my Adderall's wearing out, I think. Or it's not. When did I take it? I took it late today, so no, I'm not controlling my direction. Adderall and stimulants are like putting a rocket on your back. It doesn't give you discretion. You don't get to like choose where the rocket takes you. You have no steering. You just have a jet engine on your back, and whatever you are pointed at, go. You get all the focus in the world for it. Behavioral techniques are what's supposed to help you like center yourself. But I can get lost in a rabbit hole with the power of the Energizer Bunny if I'm not careful. Which is something I struggle with all the time. But it's also not bad. It could be a lot worse. Be like trying to move forward without the motivation at all. Wrapping up story. Boss challenges me to like figure out with him how to make 3D AutoCAD blocks. Because there's so much functionality to it. And it would be great to use for 3D modeling because we had complex projects that 3D modeling in AutoCAD takes way too long because it's such an inefficient program, and why are we still using it? I don't know. But that's what we got. So he sets me on the task and he tries to tackle it himself. And he's been already working on this for months, if not years, and with no success. But figured he might as well send me on the wild goose chase too. Because misery loves company, I guess? It took me 2 weeks, and I figured it out. Instead of using, like, trying to control a solid object, AutoCAD gives you surfaces, which are basically just, you know, it's a 3D surface. It's just a flat plane. But a 3D surface can be tied to a polyline. And when you're messing with surfaces in AutoCAD, there's a toggle for maintaining its association with the elements it grew from. So if you extrude a surface from a polyline in AutoCAD, if you change that polyline, it changes the surface. And funny enough, when you go into the surfaces like you click on it on the surface in AutoCAD, in the property tab, under like how like tall or the elevation of the surface is extruding out of that polyline, there's a little symbol there. And that symbol is this, a function symbol, which means you can tie the height of your extrusion from that polyline to a parameter. And not just to any parameter, you can set it to a user parameter, which means it's just an equation in a box. So you can essentially tie it to this function to an equation that relates to other things, that gives you complete control of the height and the other shape of a surface. And then, say you're drawing like this curved tile. You've got two lines here. They're not parallel, but imagine you have two, like, wait, no, you don't even need that. That's the thing I figured out too. Like, you have one line, you also need another line for the inside, but the inside's going to change based on like how much it's being like squished with its radius, right? Well, you can set your surfaces to offset from another surface. You just extrude this bottom surface up, be offset, and have the offset. Guess what the offset has? It has this function too. So then you can like have this be, oh, this is your tile width or like tile thickness. Okay, now you have a parameter to control tile thickness, which actually just controls the offset of two surfaces. And now you have two parallel surfaces that one is controlled, its height's all controlled. You can set that. You can set its control over the like curve because you have all your controls for a normal polyline, so that controls everything. Surfaces also give you the ability to bridge two surfaces together. Like link one edge of a surface to another edge of a surface and just be like stretchy. So like it doesn't matter how far apart they get, it still stays connected between the two edges. And it's associative too. And then you could just fill a gap between the like you have like basically a box at that point with two open sides, right? And you can have this just like patch. There's like a patch command for the surface. And then that's associative too. You make a box. You have now a 3D box that is fully controllable in a block. And you can do even more because you can create offset surfaces that are also invisible, because in a block editor you can like set an object to just be a reference, like a construction object, so it's invisible when it's in the drawing, but when you pull it up in the thing, it's you can see it. Actually, I might have in here some like videos that I recorded of that. I tried to like capture certain things. What's this? Oh, this is some of the complex blocks I made in 3D. That's not useful. I want to see. Can I just see my videos here? Let's see. I have a video of the drawers I made. Okay, yeah. So like, I recorded this for like, I don't know if you're still with me or still following me here. But here is here's a set of cabinets I made for like some house plans I did for our apartment, and I wanted to be able to control the different cabinets because I like just change the height and different drawers. So, and I wanted it in 3D, so I click on it. You can like change the height and the width and the depth of the thing. And right now it's in a 2D view, and then you can set it to a 3D view. And there it is, fully controllable. And like the handle is actually just a bunch of surfaces that are offset from each other using the same thing and just like trimming things out. So like you can create really complex things using some like, I guess the best way I can describe it is it's like oh, looks like that door did not stretch right. Something was broken about. But that door is supposed to stretch with the thing, and it didn't stretch all the way. Doing this with AutoCAD, if you were to no, but it could be. And I've done assembly with stuff like this. I've done an assembly with stuff like this. This was just like a proof of concept. In fact, the jobs I've done with this stuff, they were an assembly of parts that were all put together, and then I blocked them so that they all stayed together, but you just explode the block and bam, they're all separate. So like, I figured this out in 2 weeks. Is it kind of like that one car that you have that if you turn the key, it doesn't start, but you actually have to like turn the key at a certain angle, push it in real hard, maybe like flutter the gas a bit, and then you can get it started? Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like a weird thing that only you can like, you have to do some weird stuff to get it to actually work, but you can whip it into shape. But this is forcing AutoCAD to do what I want. It is not like doing this, but it's possible. And if you look online, like either they'll tell you one thing. So like one thing you can do with AutoCAD is you can inject Python code directly into it to alter the code of your program so that you can do unique stuff. But how many people want to be told, hey, I've got this thing that the whole department can use, but first you have to go to this website and download this guy's code and change your root files to incorporate this file. It's totally fine, and you have to load it every time you open your workspace. no one's gonna buy. Like, no one likes that. Those are called Lisp routines. They're essentially just rewriting the code for giving you a specific function. AutoCAD allows you to do that, but convincing like people to use that, like, that's a big change for an entire department. That's not ideal. It's not ideal. It, like, a lot of things can go wrong. Who knows what you're downloading to? That's also, so you'd have to learn how to make one, and that's a lot of time and effort for something that maybe no one wants to load this file every time they open their workspace. And that also means that they need that file also if they wanted to show somebody, or somebody else, like a customer wanted that to be able to see that thing you made. In order for it to work, they also have to install that same thing that, like, some other dude made, and they can't just copy paste it into their own workspace. You can get AutoCAD to do stuff like that if you use Lisp routines, but I was trying to make stuff to help my whole department be more efficient. I am not going to get away with, like, here's AutoCAD DLC that I got from this website. Download this DLC package. No. So everything I made was, you could just copy and paste it in. Nothing extra, nothing fancy. It always worked most of the time. The stuff that didn't work, I didn't have enough time to, like, iron out, but that also, like, didn't give me the time to iron it out. I did that all on my own whenever I had, like, a really long project. That was a really long tangent. I am so sorry. But yeah, I know how to do assemblies, like in Inventor and in SolidWorks. For a time, I had access to Inventor when I started that job. What was my favorite project at work? I had a couple of really nice, complicated projects that I only got towards the very end of my time there. Also, that was a mistake. I made a big mistake here. This is not supposed to be that dark. But you know what? Maybe it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. We're pulling an audible here anyway. So, my favorite project, I think, actually had to do with the one. It's called El Paso. It was a job in El Paso, Texas, I think. I could boot up AutoCAD to show you, but I think my computer would crash. Because I have, wait. I might be still able to. I have like a 15-day free trial. Essentially, no, it's not worth it. It crashes. So it was a job. I actually do have an example of it. So this job was the most tedious job I've ever gotten. It was ridiculous. They wanted this. We had this, like, product that we did, which was basically, we're making fancy wood ceilings for offices to look cool, and they're made out of wood. So, like, yeah. And one of the things that they made a lot of were these, like, grills of wood, like, planks. Like, you'd have, like, 5 or 4 boards, like, vertically set, and that would hang, and they looked like a bunch of boards. I might actually be able to pull up their website. I haven't blocked it on my phone, or no, not my phone, but I can pull up the old evil old company. I don't mind. Here, pretty soon that website might not even exist anymore. Oh, there's that ugly Temu orange. So things are gonna get a little choppy because this computer is oh, this website looks so gross now. I hate it. Oh. Okay. I'm gonna briefly share this display. So this is essentially one of the things they had me make a bunch of. It's like one of their bread and butter things. Is these why are they showing a dowel one? I didn't even select dowel one. That shouldn't be the first one. I just want to zoom out. That kind of broke their website. That's funny. LOL. Okay, so one of the the project I was working on was essentially this thing. But each one of these pieces was like you'd have one taller one and one slightly thinner one, and one fatter one and slightly shorter. Like as far as like the height. And what they did, what these psychos wanted, because like I guess it would look cool. They had this pattern. They had a ceiling bay here of a bunch of panels, right? Bunch of panels with all those boards going up, but the boards were cut. They wanted the boards to be cut like this. So, and I also then wanted like this. So the short, skinny ones, or the long, skinny ones, they would make this wave pattern with the different cuts. So it'd be like you had a normal cut, and then a slightly longer one, and then a slightly longer one, and then they would go back down, and then would go back down. And then the fatter ones would make an alternating wave. And same thing. And these boards would go in between each other. So fat, skinny, fat, skinny. And there was 8 boards per manufactured panel. And you want to know how many panels there were for this whole thing? Because there was multiple of these ceilings. It was like 196 panels. Each one of them unique, with their own unique cuts. No 2 cuts are the same, because they want these like funny little waves. Ooh. So immediately a headache, because not only did they want that, but they wanted me to manually input every unique cut board with a label in it, so that they could just send it down to the manufacturing floor, and they can just use that cut list to cut all the boards they need. So, and I couldn't just like draw this like straight out. They had to be blocked, because we used a block count protocol to basically tell us how much skew was going into a certain area. I said, heck no. I don't want to do this manually. Yeah. So I looked at this and was like, okay, they'll give me 90 hours to work on this. 90 work hours. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make each one of these members their own block with their own stretchiness, you know? So that like you can control all the things. And then I'm going to nestle them inside of another block, which is something you can do. So I set up my base block, which had all the controls all set up, had its label for, because we had to label them too with like some text. So it had its text label in the middle to denote what like SKU it was, and what like layout it was going into, all that fun stuff, and what like, since even though they're all custom cut, they're all based off of like one net size, so, or nominal size. So there was like a labeling convention that was like, this was this like base size you started with, this was the layout or the product number. Yeah.
Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Alright, well I made dinner. I also made dessert. It turned out. Dessert was interesting.
Preston, this is my wife.
Oh, hi. I just pop into the corner. Where's your corner? Yeah. Hello. You want me to just continue talking? I don't really mind.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
just me talking about food. So I tried to make heavy cream. Whip it.
Uh-huh.
The side of the fridge might be stained purple.
What?
Would you like a slice of purple?
Sure. Preston says, nice to meet you.
Oh, nice.
Okay. I can get the stain out, by the way. So yeah. Like, we had to name each unique, like, panel we made with, like, a different number at the end here, so that everything was labeled right. So, not only do I have to make each board... Yeah, no, I'm fine. This is fun to talk about, and... I'll finish this. Like, I mean, we made some progress. This looks great. And we're working our way up here, and we're working down there. I'm a little scattered, but it's okay. I miss doing this. I really do. I miss, like, the problem-solving part. I don't miss the company. They treated me like garbage, but... It's the cake my wife made me. Oh, it's ube. Well, that's fantastic. That's delicious. Love. It's delicious. I hope she heard me. Okay. So I set up my base block like this, and each of these like little blocks I made to nestle inside, I labeled them properly, like member A, member B, member C, member D, and so on and so forth. And with everything labeled and set up, I then set up a really long macro. And I think another notebooking, because I worked hybrid, and that meant sometimes I worked from home and sometimes I didn't. This one? No, it's not this one. What? This one. Okay, so in this notebook here, I wrote out my macro system. So this was the macro I used. And essentially what I did is I extracted all the data from the customer wanted. So they had their architects draw it up, and I just basically took all the line lengths, I did a data extraction, and filled a spreadsheet. So I had all the lengths of the wood, and I just put them in to a spreadsheet, really simple. Then I mapped out my screen coordinates, all the different things that my computer needs to click on, so that I could control different things. And then I started my macros, like chain. And essentially what it was is that I had my spreadsheet on one side with all the like lengths I needed and the label names.
Okay. It's a strong word. Not pretty easy.
Oh.
Or in the kitchen easy. How was it?
This was like for this was for an office. It was a reflected ceiling plan. This was not my job. They wanted me to like draw it all because we can't just like take the architect's drawings as is. My job was to do all the tedious thing that an architect doesn't want to do and make sure it actually can physically be put in there. So like all of our like the standards that we had, like the wood actually needs like there needs to be a separation between the wall and our like ceiling. Also, if there's fixtures, these are like the rules for our wood stuff. And because wood is a natural material, it bends, it curves, it naturally warps over time based on heat, humidity, and other things. So if you're wanting to have like straight lines and you're really close up to a wall which is not going to curve on you, it's gonna look like, oh no, the really expensive ceiling we paid for, it's not straight. We want our money back. So we had like a set distance that we kept the wood from a wall so that it didn't get so close that you noticed the natural warping of wood. So there was different like things that I was in charge of, like making sure the design intent actually fit into the space. So I actually had to draw all of this stuff. And then on top of that, create as like a scope list, like a spreadsheet for that. And they wanted an additional cut list for every single board, not just every panel, every board. That's 8 boards times 196. That's a lot of manually inputting into a system, which, guess what? We didn't have like anything to automate that process. Every spreadsheet was filled out by moi, by hand, because that's what they did. Did they have a way to extract the data and fill a spreadsheet on its own? No. Did they want it? Yes. Did I figure it out? Absolutely I did. Did they actually use it? No, because I got too smart and they didn't understand how things were, and they said, and I quote, figure out how to do it. Oh, Raymond knows how to do it? Don't use Raymond. I want you to figure it out. Don't ask him for help. Why? I don't know. I think it's because I hurt their ego. Maybe. I don't know. But this project was great because I used that. Yeah. I got, like, the people that redlined my work loved it because my accuracy was through the roof. You know, like, they're kicking their own butts. They're about to lay off another 40 people, and they have no idea how they're going to survive and no backup plan. So I'm just going to watch as they burn down to the ground and laugh because they could have used me for all this stuff and not flounder like they are. But they wanted to spend millions of dollars to get a Temu orange rebrand for their logo and get a proprietary font to use in all their emails. But because it's a proprietary font that no one else has on their computers, those emails are basically worthless because the end user's just going to get a default font. So why do we spend millions of dollars on that and then have to lay off 20 people, including myself? You just mismanaged the money so badly that you lost a lot of talented people that you couldn't afford to pay. I don't know. So I set up a macro to like swap between spreadsheet and CAD with all the different things, and I hit my button on my mouse and I sipped coffee for 2 days and watched it do the whole design flawlessly by itself for 8 hours each day. And I took that 90-hour project and trimmed it down to 30 hours. with a fully laid out cut sheet that I could just extract right into a spreadsheet that automatically formatted itself because I planned ahead and made sure it would format itself just like that. It was beautiful. That was my favorite project. Because at that point, I had asked, like, look, I'm doing all this stuff and you're making me do all this, like, really, like, fast turnaround. This project needs to be done in 2 hours. Get it done quick. You don't have time to automate this. We don't have the tools to automate it. Just draw it by hand. Do it real quick. Go, 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 go. I'm a drawing monkey at this point. And no one else in the department even knows how to do half the things I was doing. Even though I tried to share my knowledge. Did I get harassment from an older gentleman in our department because he didn't understand it, so he would scream at me in meetings? Yes. He called me stupid in meetings. That was fun, so I stopped talking in meetings and tried to, like, tell people personally on our personal conversations. That was fun too. So then I would just tell people, hey, here's all my files. I've labeled them. You can pilfer anything. Just copy paste it. It'll work for you. Learn how it works. Tinker inside. Break it apart. It was a stupid company. My wife hated it. She wanted me to leave that job a long time ago, but they ended up making the decision for me, which is fine. So, like, by the time I did that project, I was, like, reaching out like, hey, I'm gonna get married soon. Wherever you can, like, use my skills, put me in, coach. And they're like, sure. Here, write yourself your own job description. And so I really, like, I studied. I found a way to make it a profitable position, even if I was just making systems to help everybody else be more efficient. I thought about, like, having a, like, tangible value. Wrote it up. Did they even pass it along? No, because it was just placate me for 6 months. Then they told me, oh, look, engineering needs assistance. In 2 weeks, they're going to reach out to you. 2 weeks became 2 months, then 6 months, then 8 months. Turns out they didn't know when engineering was going to reach out. Could be 2 weeks, could be 6 months. And I'm like, I'm going to get married in a couple weeks. What about that one position that I, like, wrote up? And they're like, oh yeah, well, that's a pipe dream, and we don't see it being implemented in the next 5 years, maybe not even in the next 10. And I thought to myself, why'd you have me write up this whole position if you were never going to even pass it along to the people who make those kind of decisions? They didn't even pass it along. They kept it, they sat on it. I don't even know if they read it. So I then started looking for more work. I had, like, a job interview at another place. I let them know that I was interviewing at another place. They scrambled and got a higher up in the company to convince me to stay. They were going to negotiate to give me more pay so that I would stay. And when I tell you that this was the worst negotiation to keep someone around I've ever seen, I mean it. Because why are you talking about laying off people and how your company doesn't lay off people when you're trying to keep somebody? Why are you telling me that all the cool things I was making actually is a problem and makes me slower when that is not true? Because the data would show every project that I created something unique on actually doubled the efficiency on time, if not more so. But I wasn't given any free time to work on those kind of things, and I often would only save it for when I had a long project that was relevant to the thing that I wanted to automate, and I would take the first couple of hours out of that 90, 100-hour job and create something cool. Otherwise, I was given 4-hour jobs, 8-hour jobs, 6-hour jobs. I'm not going to experiment and make prototypes for processes and tools on such a tight time crunch. So I would draw everything by hand for products that we should have had in the system with templates and things, but we didn't. So why am I spending time laying out a detail page from scratch when other products had their own detail pages with templates that we didn't have to tweak all that much? And that's because they didn't actually pay the last person enough money to do that. The guy that figured out how to do the previous templates actually moved departments because he was being mistreated and was working for free, and decided, I don't want to be in this department if they're not going to value my work. I didn't know this at the time, but later found out through people tattling on my bosses, which is funny because all my coworkers really loved me, and my bosses wanted to belittle me and make me feel like I wasn't good enough. In fact, my quality was so high. They measured us with golf rules. If we had a low score, that was great, because that meant nothing that was catastrophic to the job was found. If you had a high score, that meant this is probably going to cost us money because the customer is going to file a claim. And so they started tallying up people's scores, and my average was 0.4 out of a scoring system which rated you 0, 1, 2, and 3. 3 being the worst, 0 being we didn't have to do anything. The next person in the department, not just in my team, but in the whole department, was a 1.2, and I was a 0.4. My quality was extremely high, and my boss told me, you just need to be a little faster. You were just a little bit faster, then you'll be perfect. And I'm like, well, I'm spending a lot of time making sure things actually work and cutting out time that would later be caused from a customer saying, redraw this, it's not right.
Dinner will be ready in.
Okay. Yeah, I will. I'll wrap this up because it's time for dinner and I'm going on a little too long. But what's it talking? My quality was high, but my speed was average, and they told me make more mistakes, and I laughed at them and said absolutely not. So in this meeting of them trying to keep me, they devalued all the cool stuff I did. They said, what we would like is that you just do that on your off hours, and we wake up and it's magically done, just like the last guy did. And I said, no. So what you're telling me is that this thing that only I can do in the department only has value if I do it for free? It's necessary, but it's also so not necessary that you're not willing to even give me a raise for it or pay me for the extra work I do? And in fact, I had to really fight to prove that the things I was doing wasn't a detriment. They tried to label it as a bad thing. And so you know what I did? I said, I'm no longer going to wait for permission or ask for permission to do certain things, because sometimes I would do that. I would ask if I could work on a tool for this and this to make things better, or I'd have an idea and I would pitch it just to use it on an actual project, and those pitches would be sent into the phantom zone because I never heard back from them. And I said, I've had it. I'm gonna do cool things. I'm not gonna ask for permission, and I'm gonna do things that are gonna freak them out if they ever found out what I was doing. And then that was that project. My computer did all the work for me. I didn't touch it. It was faster. It was precise. It was clean. And did I explain what I did? Absolutely not. I may have recorded the process to give to a coworker, but I didn't have time to do a voiceover for it, so it was just a blank recording with silent. Did anybody understand it? No. In fact, a lot of times coworkers would come up to me and be like, I want to learn some of the stuff you're doing. And I'm like, okay. And so I'd show them a little bit of the stuff I was working on right then, and immediately they would be like, You lost me in algebra, so maybe I'll do this another time. Just yeah. That job was it was fun when I got to let loose, but oftentimes I had to do that behind the backs of my bosses. Because after I figured out the 3D block thing, did the boss that wanted me to figure out, like, congratulate me or, like, get excited? Because not only did I figure out how to do it, I figured out how to do it and convert all of our 2D, like, product blocks that we had, that we were using every day, and with, like, a couple changes, boom! It's 3D, and you can toggle it. Yeah. Engineering is really cool. I don't have the qualifications to like break into that field. And I don't know if I could ever afford to get them. But I would love it, I think. But yeah, that boss just... After I beat him to the punch on the 3D block thing, I think because he didn't know how it worked, it bruised his ego a bit, because he was trying to find the answer too, and instead of getting excited, he started to stifle every idea I had. He even told me, look, we could let you... I had like a meeting with him, a private meeting. He took me out to lunch. And he told me that if I was allowed to make templates and blocks for the whole department for all the stuff we were missing, then all we would have is lazy drafters who didn't understand the things they were using. So let's have a really inefficient system in place so that the job is naturally like separating out people who are really talented. And I thought to myself, you are an idiot. Because one, I am stressing myself out doing this. Especially when it goes on deaf ears. And two, no one else understands how to do this anyway. No one's taking the time. And, okay, so you weeded me out. Did you do anything with me? No, you ended up firing me in the end. So, like, now no one in the department knows what any of that stuff does. And I know that because I still have a guy on the inside who gives me updates because he finds it, like, depressingly hilarious. And the last thing I heard from him was that the company's in shambles. Morale's at an all-time low. And nobody knows how to do anything. I thought all the time that you could save not drawing everything by hand and doing all that tedious stuff could be spent just like taking a day or a week to train everybody to how everything works. Even if it took longer than a day, a week. You spend a week and then boom, everybody's up to speed. And you can afford that week because you freed up all the time with all the tedious stuff. But he didn't want to listen to that. Instead, he would rather have the most inefficient, like, nightmarish job, like workplace environment, so that he could weed out people that would make him feel inferior and then get rid of him, I guess. I don't know. It was really dumb. Really, really dumb. Because why shoot yourself? Why make that like argument that it's just it serves a purpose having such an inefficient like system in place, and then that purpose never gets fulfilled because you devalue the employee you don't want to pay more so much that when the higher ups decide it's firing time, they fire that guy right off rip. Because that's what happened. My bosses devalued me so much so that they didn't have to spend more on me to the higher ups. And so when the higher ups looked at the list of people that should be cut, guess what? Little old Ray, well, his bosses said that he wasn't that good anyway. So let's cut him. That was a great wedding present. I'm still a little angsty about it, I guess. I have a lot of feelings still. Because that was this year. I think in like an engineering environment, maybe I wouldn't have to deal with like office politics like that. But then again, maybe not. Sorry, that was a really long story, but it's my story, I guess. Now you know a little too much about me. But yeah. I really enjoyed it. But after all that, when I'm the kind of guy that I won't call it quits until I know I've done my absolute best. And so I was resolved to like pull every trick out of my out of the book that I could to say at least I tried my hardest, and then I didn't even get a chance. So I guess it saved me from wasting my time. But I gotta go. It's dinner time. My wife's standing in the doorway. But thank you for being here. Yeah. Tomorrow I'll be back probably a lot earlier and not as late. And we'll finish this guy up. And I won't get stuck in a story. But thanks for coming. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And next time, I'll keep the stories to like maybe 1 or 2. Also, thanks for bringing your friends too. That was nice. I was really surprised. See you, Preston. Have a good day. And Mocha's gone again too, but if she